These are the 7 most powerful men in China. They represent the top leadership positions of the ruling party, and their identities are revealed every 5 years at a carefully choreographed political event called the National Congress.
China's Communist Party unveils its new leadership over the next 5 years.
The order of appearance is symbolic. The first person to emerge is the head of the party for the next 5 years. At the most recent event in October 2022, that person was Xi Jinping, China's president for the last 10 years, who walked out in the top spot a historic 3rd time after getting rid of China's presidential term limit that restricted all his predecessors to 2 terms.
Welcome back to Futurekron, where I share insights and prophecies from the source of all that is, also known as God, and the Akashic Records. I'm revealing a prophecy I made over 5 years ago that's been unfolding exactly as predicted, although most of us don't even know it. Before we dive in, if you're seeking accurate prophecies that unveil the secret truths shaping our world, whether 3 years or 300 years into the future, you've come to the right place. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell notification, and visit my blog at futurekron.com for more exclusive insights. Now let's get into it. As I mentioned, it's been over 5 years since I predicted the downfall of Xi Jinping, the so-called leader for life of China. According to my prophecy, Xi has been quietly ousted in an internal coup. If you missed it, I'll share my original prophecy here alongside insights from a Chinese expert who's been noticing significant shifts in China's leadership over the past few months. And he's echoed the same theme that I highlighted in September of 2018. There's a growing democracy movement in China taking place, and there's no place for Xi in this renewed China. Take a listen.
There are rumors, not from the West, not from the USA, but from within China, that China is having a coup and the leader has been sidelined. Basically what happened was there was a big conference in Beidaihe, which is the most important location in the country for the Chinese Communist Party. Anyway, weirdly enough, a ton of rumors started circulating about the most off-limits topic ever in China. And that is the leader of China, Xi Jinping, and that he is currently under house arrest and a coup has already started internally within the CCP. Basically, the crux of the rumor is that the factions within the CCP, like the military, which Xi Jinping has been purging relentlessly, have teamed up to overthrow him. The rumors basically stated that Xi is only responsible for being the face of China to the rest of the world, kind of like a spokesman or a figurehead of the state. He will therefore remain in charge on the surface, but will be sidelined behind the scenes. Now, in this rumor, it says that during the sidelining process, there are 2 powerful figures, a guy named Ding and a guy named Hu will act as agents of change. And after Xi has been sidelined successfully, Hu Chunhua will replace him publicly as leader. Very powerful people within China are very sick of one guy making all the decisions that have led to China completely destroying its relationship with its biggest paycheck, the USA. The evidence for these rumors was that people started to notice that for once and forever, Xi's name wasn't mentioned on the front page of the paper, which is pretty wild because every single corner of every paper in China has his name and picture. But not only that, there was also a reduction of his pictures and his quotes and insignia around the country. Also, in the publicly published military paper of the People's Liberation Army, yes, they have a newspaper, there was a quote, "Resolutely make scientific decisions, democratic decisions, and decisions in accordance with the law." People read into this as not only a direct challenge to the decision-making process of Xi Jinping, who's supposed to be in complete control of the military, but also as being directly anti-Xi Jinping.
Here's what I predicted over 5 years ago. I give Xi through 2022, maybe 2023, at which point in time he'll be removed from his position, tried, and subsequently executed. I'm betting that it will take maybe a few more years after 2023, maybe as long as 2026, 2027 for the final execution. But nonetheless, Xi will be out.
Even as we speak, there is growing discontent within his own party. You see, Xi rules his party with an iron fist. If you disagree with him, he'll simply send his thugs out after you to change your mind, even if it means torture or perhaps kidnapping and murdering your firstborn child or grandchild. His tactics are highly effective, which is how he achieved that nearly 100% vote in the first place. Nonetheless, Xi has his adversaries on the fringe of his party, and as time progresses, he will lose more and more supporters who will form their own coalition. This coalition will grow to nearly 45% of the current ruling class in just 2 years or so. Meanwhile, as I pointed out in my previous video on the future of China, titled China is Over, the growing democracy movement out of Hong Kong is being seeded in at least 3 major regions of China. In about 3 years, it will begin to take off like a rocket, thanks in part to the demise of the current Chinese president. So, what are the major catalysts for this pro-democracy movement? I pointed several out in my previous video, and among them are increasing rates of pollution, an aging population that is sick and dying out, leaving behind a much more youthful and energetic group to run the show. And finally, Xi Jinping himself has really pissed off a lot of families with his bullying tactics and elitist lifestyle. He has really done nothing for his own people, and the members of his party are simply tired of covering up the failing economy and resultant unrest. No matter what form of democracy the Chinese ultimately adopt, by 2030 there will be a free flow of influence, relatively speaking, between elected officials and the population of China itself. I wouldn't be surprised to see some sort of nationalism reminiscent of the Make America Great Again movement going on in the United States today. Thank you, Donald Trump. And despite the current economic downturn in China, which has apparently secured America's #1 economic ranking for now, it is possible that by 2040, China will be the #1 economy in the world and a very happy place to be.
It's often in the early hours of the morning with a cup of coffee in hand that I'm prompted by a higher voice to revisit past prophecies and share updates. For several months now, I've been hearing, "Where's Xi Jinping?" At first, I dismissed it, thinking my prophecy might have been off. After all, Xi was still appearing in the news, or was he? Given the apparent use of body doubles for President Joe Biden here in the US, it's not far-fetched to consider that the CCP might do the same thing. If my original prophecy is correct, and there's compelling evidence to suggest it, according to this expert, the timing for 2023 wasn't far off. As we move into mid to late 2024, it's entirely possible this coup began in 2023, quietly and without much notice. The silver lining here is that Xi's oppressive reign appears to be over. However, the downside is that his current situation is likely grim. And if my prophecy holds, he's destined to suffer for years before ultimately facing execution. There's a powerful lesson here for those in the British and American deep state who aim to emulate the CCP's tyrannical rule. No matter how tightly you try to control the masses, it always ends badly for the tyrant, as long as there's consistent pushback. So that's it for now. I've got more prophecies on the way, including a persistent warning from above about a troubling time for Europe in 2070. And also a quick update on a previous prophecy you may have missed, wherein I predicted the second coming of Jesus Christ. So stay tuned, and thanks for listening.